most of my people with autoimmune disease who resolve their psoriasis, let's use that as an example, they'll go on vacation over in Europe and
Yep, I know where this is going.
they'll eat a baguette, or they'll have a pizza and a croissant, and they're great. They're fine.
Really? Okay.
And they go, oh my gosh, Dr. Gundry's cured me. Thank you, Dr. Gundry. They come back here and go, well, I'm cured. I can have our bread and I can have our pizza. And within 2 or 3 weeks, they're back on the phone going, oh my gosh, my psoriasis just flared. What the heck? I said, you started eating our stuff, didn't you?
Yep.
Well, yeah, because you cured me. No, I got glyphosate, among other things, out of your diet as best I could. And it's not over there in Europe. It's pretty much banned. And so what most people don't realize is that all of our food is just drenched in glyphosate. All of our conventional crops are sprayed with glyphosate. It's not a GMO product anymore. And so all of our wheat's sprayed with glyphosate, all of our oats.
That also means all of our animals are eating it too then.
Bingo! So it's fed to our animals. So now they're the conduit to it. I mean, it's spread in our schools. We spray it on our sidewalks. Most California wines have glyphosate because it's sprayed between the rows. And so glyphosate, again, it's an antibiotic. And the weird thing about glyphosate, it can cause leaky gut all by itself. You don't need any other help, number one. And number two, glyphosate particularly targets the tryptophan pathway making bacteria, which makes serotonin, the feel-good hormone, makes GABA, calms down dopamine. And they're all killed whenever we eat a glyphosate-containing food.
So what you're almost saying, though, is like if we live in this country, it is really hard to get away from those things.
That's true. Well, a couple of weeks ago, a new review of fast food came out, and all fast food in the United States is loaded with glyphosate. The number one, which shocks everybody, the highest content of glyphosate is in Panera bread foods. Panera, the fast food.
It's interesting because Panera is kind of marketed as feeling cleaner than McDonald's, Burger King.
Yeah, and it's the number one. Quaker Oats has huge amounts of glyphosate. Organic oats have huge amounts of glyphosate because it drifts from the field next door.
So can you actually, great example, I love oats. It's like the main carb in my diet.
You're not a horse.
Okay.
Horses were designed to fatten. Oats were designed to fatten horses for winter. And one of my daughters is a horsewoman, and she assures me that's the only purpose of oats. They're like crack to horses.
What can I do to replace them?
So use millet or sorghum. They're hull-less.
Okay.
Oats have a protein that cross-reacts with gluten. And there are no such thing as a glyphosate-free oats in this country.
I actually literally this morning bought a 10-pound bag of oats that I'm going to go home and I'm going to toss out.
Give it to your horse.
I will give it to my horse.
Yeah. So, sorghum and millet are great replacements.
Okay.
Okay.
Millet and it literally it just doesn't have a hull on it.
It doesn't have a hull. Most of the plant's protective systems are in the hull. And these defense systems are called lectins. And lectins are one of the ways a plant tries to convince you it would be a really dumb idea for you to eat that plant baby. Originally, plants were here first. They had a really good before animals arrived. Nobody wanted to eat them. Insects were the first plant predator. They came about 80 million years later. Lectins were designed by plants to paralyze the insect. So if the insect couldn't move,
Can't eat it.
Can't eat it. So plants develop chemical, biological warfare because they can't run, they can't hide, they can't fight. But they're chemists. I mean, they can turn sunlight into matter, and we can't yet. So that's how they do it. And that's what I've focused on all my career is, okay, how these guys figured this out. And why did our ancestors purposely avoid all these foods or detoxify them by fermentation? For instance, the Incas, everybody says, well, the Incas eat quinoa, look how strong they were. The Incas didn't just cook quinoa, they knew how dangerous it was. So they let it rot, they fermented it. Then they cooked it. And it's not on the package directions. The Italians, when they eat beans, soak it for at least 24 hours, sometimes 48 hours. And if you've ever soaked beans, you'll notice that this foam comes up to the top of the water.
Yep.
That's fermentation of the beans, and the lectins are on the skin of the bean. The fermentation, the bacteria, bless their little hearts, like to eat lectins. And so they do the work for us.